Good morning. Happy Thursday and happy day 4 of the Reading Rush. So last night I did actually finish Wonder Woman. I can't believe that I did. I stayed up until an ungodly hour to do so, but as I was kind of hoping, the end of the book did start to pick up. The last, I'd say probably 80 pages or so. A lot of stuff happened. Things started to wrap up. There was a plot twist that I wasn't expecting, which threw me for a loop and I really enjoyed, and I definitely think that took this from a solid 4-star to a 5-star for me, which I'm very happy about. I'm glad that this came out to be a 5-star read, seeing as the other two that I've read in the DC Icon series were also a 5-star read. So I am super stoked that this was a 5-star read for me. I'm also really glad that it's the second book that I finished for the Reading Rush, and that makes 2 5-star reads. So this is a great start. So 2 books down, 4 days in. I'm happy with that so far. I think where I'm going to go next is Killers Across the Table, or The Killer Across the Table. I'm going to go some nonfiction. Let's learn some things today. I'm hoping that this isn't going to be slow. I'm hoping that I can get through this one pretty fast. It is around an 11-hour audiobook. It's about 330 pages physically, which normally isn't that hard for me to get through, but it is nonfiction, and that is probably the number one genre I struggle with the most to stay engaged in. I'm hoping that the topic itself is what's going to keep me engaged. I haven't read any books by this author before. Like I said, John Douglas does have other books. Mindhunter is the first one that comes to mind. I have seen the Netflix show. I have enjoyed that very much, but I haven't actually read the book, so I don't know how his writing style is to know if it's something that's going to keep me engaged or if it's something that I'm going to struggle with and not find interest in. But we'll find out. So my goal today is to get 50% the way through this, I think, at least, if not actually finished. So far, I've been able to get through about 50% or more each day that I've started the book, and then finish it the next morning, with the exception of Warbringer. Warbringer. For some reason, I was able to get through the whole day, and that's great. Normally, that would be like a weekend for me, like a Saturday. I would start reading when I get up, and I would read till late in, wee hours of the morning, the next morning, and I'd finish a book. But I'm surprised that I did that on a weekday with work and the move and everything else going on. I'm actually really pleased that I was able to get through an entire book in one day like that. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to do that for the rest of the Reading Rush, especially with tomorrow being the day that we're going to start packing up the apartment, and then Saturday itself being the day that we move. Although, as I've mentioned in previous vlogs, I do have a long drive. It's about a 2-hour drive, hour and 45 minutes, 2-hour drive from where we currently live to the new house. So that's a decent chunk of time if you're listening to an audiobook at more than normal speed. And if I've been using about 1.75 times speed for all of the audiobooks so far. I think that's a good speed. I think when you knock it up to 2 times speed, it's a little too fast and you can't process everything. But at 1.75, personally speaking, obviously everyone's different. But for me, at 1.75, I'm getting enough of the context that I'm understanding what's going on without feeling like I'm moving through it too fast. I think it also helps that I'm not listening to the book beginning to end. I'm listening to a chunk and then I'm reading, or sometimes I'll find myself listening to a certain section and I get myself confused. Maybe I get sidetracked and I'm not 100% paying attention and I go, I don't know what just happened. And so I'll pause the audiobook and then I'll read the actual book, like I'll pick up the physical book, and so then I can kind of catch myself up at my own speed, how my brain reads, and then go back into the audiobook. So I think having that combination and then taking it a little bit below 2 times speed is actually helping me get through this, and I think it is helping me chug through books. Not that that's my goal. My goal is to read the books and enjoy them, but also at the same time, for me, I personally view this as it's a reading rush. I'm supposed to be trying to read as many books as I can, get as much content as I can done. I'm not going to force myself to get all 6 books that I've picked done, but at the same time I would like to, because that's kind of a goal that I've set and I'd like to get to that point. I don't know if I'm going to. I think at this point, like to establish another goal to get through the nonfiction book and to get through The Devil Wears Prada. And the reason that I picked those 2 books is those are the 2 books that are genres that I don't read enough of. And Devil Wears Prada is a book, as I've mentioned, I think in my day 2 vlog, I owned that book. And then I unhauled it. and then I bought it again. So I'd like to actually read it this time, and I'm really afraid that, knowing myself, especially knowing that I'm getting ready to box everything up that I have left out and move it to a different location, that book's going to get lost in the move. It absolutely is, because it's not going to be in a box with other books. It's going to be in a box with random little tidbits that are left over, and then I'm never going to remember where it is. That box is probably not going to get unpacked. And then I'm never going to pick that book back up. And then I'm never going to read it again. And then in 6 months' time, when I find it in a box somewhere, I'm going to unhaul it again. That's not what I want to do. If I bought the book twice, clearly I want to read the book. So I want to get through with this reading rush, because I feel like this is my chance to get through it. And if I don't, I'm never going to read it. And I don't like that feeling. I personally like to have a diverse reading background. I like to read a lot of different things. And I am also not a kind of person that DNFs books. Even if it's a terrible book, I will try to get through to the end. Now, obviously, if it's so gosh dang awful that I can't, I will DNF it. But I think in the last, I'd probably say 3 to 4 years where I've really, really been reading as much as I possibly can, I've DNF'd maybe 2 books, and I'm proud of that. I like to give everything a chance, because I have found that there have been some books that I've started and they've been rough, and maybe it was just because of what's going on in my life at the time, or my ability to focus on it if I'm not paying attention to it 100%. I find that by the end of the book, I enjoyed it more than I thought. And then I end up going back and rereading it later and really enjoying it. So I don't want to DNF something and then find out later that I really did enjoy it. I just didn't give it a fair chance. And I think that's what's going to happen with Devil Wears Prada. I think I'm going to struggle to get myself into it. I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to love it. But I need to get to that point. I need to get to the point where I'm actually reading it and I'm actually enjoying it. I would go to it next, but I really do want to go into some nonfiction. I've done a lot of fiction, and I've had a lot of fantasy lately, especially with some of the audiobooks that I've been listening to. So I would like to get into something that's a little bit, I guess heavier is the word, and not heavy in the sense of like world building, but heavy in the sense of nonfiction topics, really focus down on that. So I'm excited to give The Killer Across the Table a try, and we'll see how that goes. I may, and I said this yesterday in my day 3 vlog, didn't actually happen. I talked about maybe listening to the audiobook for one, then taking a break and listening to another one. Didn't do that. I stuck with Warbringer the whole day, but that's also because I did really get into it and I did want to get to the end of it. Maybe today I will, with it being nonfiction today. I might need to break that up a little bit, depending on how into this book that I get. So if I find myself needing to take a break from nonfiction, I will add in Devil Wears Prada today. But my goal is, I think, to focus on the nonfiction and really just get through it. So that's where I'm at. You know the drill. I'm going to go start work, and then, we'll go from there. I got Starbucks this morning. Super happy about that. I had to take the puppy to the vet. For those of you that don't know, we have 2 doggos. We have little Miss Lilo, who is our Corgi lab mix, and she's 2 years old. She'll be 3 at the end of August, so she's almost 3 years old. And then we have a German Shepherd Australian Shepherd mix named Rainer. And Rainer is almost a year old. He will be a year at the beginning of September. And today he's getting neutered, so the poor little boy had to go to the vet. He's getting neutered and microchipped. So when I went to take him to the vet this morning, I decided to treat myself, and I got some Starbucks, which is a great start to my day. I needed to pick me up, so I'm glad that I did that. So with coffee in my system and a good audiobook, I'm going to go start my day. I will update you as I go along, and there we go. Okay, so it's 5 o'clock. I just got off of work, and I am actually going to be heading out to pick up Rainer from the vet, and then I am making the drive down to the new house to drop off a carload of stuff. Tomorrow we're getting the moving van, packing up the apartment tomorrow afternoon, evening, and then finishing that up Saturday morning, and then heading down there to move everything. We're going to do it across a couple days just because of work schedules and the distance and how much stuff that we have, we're going to have to kind of do it across some time. But I'm going to take a carload down tonight so that I can try and alleviate some of the stuff that we have to move this weekend, and also so that my husband can drop his car off, and that's one less car that we have to deal with. So I'm going to meet him down there and then bring him back. So that's going to be 2 hours down, 2 hours back. It's going to be a long night, but it means I have more time to listen to audiobooks, so I'm okay with that. I am at this point about 40% of the way into The Killer Across the Table, and I'm really, really enjoying this. It is exactly what I would hoped. It is tight. I'm being drawn into it. I'm excited to keep going. It's catching my attention like I thought it would, which is really, really good. What I really like about it, and what I wasn't expecting going into it, based off of the synopsis on the back of the book and on Goodreads and stuff like that, they talk about all these famous serial killers and things like that this guy and his partner have interviewed and talked about, like the Son of Sam, the BTK Strangler, Ted Bundy, all that kinds of stuff. But the book itself so far hasn't focused on any of them. So it's going to be about 4 different serial killers. Actually, the first one really isn't even a serial killer. He just commits a really, really nasty crime, but his mind is like a serial killer. So it's kind of like he got caught after his first one, so he didn't get a chance to do more, so they still kind of classify him as that. But what I really appreciate is that the 4 cases or people that we're looking at are not popular, well-known ones, or at least I've never heard of them, which is nice because I'm actually getting to hear something new and learn about someone new. Not that it's nice that there's more serial killers, but that's beside the point. I'm glad that I'm not listening to the same story or reading the same story that I've heard over and over again across true crime podcast after true crime podcast and documentary and all that kinds of stuff. So that's a good feature. I do really like that. And I think part of it too is this is a newer book. The paperback just came out this year, which means the hardback came out last year. And it's been 20 years or so since Mindhunter came out. So I think he's kind of written all that he can about those other guys, the popular guys, the big guys. So I think now he's trying to talk about some other stuff, which is good. I really do like that. And obviously he mentions them. So like he's talking about one of the interviews that he went to do with one of the guys that he covers, and he talks about how some of the tactics that he used in that interview he learned from interviewing Charles Manson and Ted Bundy and all those other guys. So he does mention them and how they like relate to all the things that he knows and the knowledge that he's gained over the years, but they're not the focus, which is what I appreciate. So I am on the second of the 4 that he's going to talk about, so the second case. I'm going to be honest, if you like true crime, but for some reason you can't handle the gory aspect of it, which I feel like is kind of a contradiction. I feel like if you're into true crime, you like the gory aspect of it. This can get graphic. I mean, obviously, the whole concept of this guy's writing is not just about talking about the cases and the crime itself. He's trying to understand why these crimes happen, why these people did the things that they did, how their brain works to make them want to do this, so that he can better classify and see the warning signs in other people. So if these serial killers all have certain things in common, what is that, so that if they come across a new case, they can identify those things and be able to see and know in advance or as early as they can when they're going to be dealing with something like this. So it is, trigger warning, I guess, it is graphic. He's talking about, he's telling you the actual interviews with these people, and these people don't hold back. They tell you exactly what they did, why they did it, and they tell you in great detail about what they did. So if you don't like that kind of topic, obviously we're talking about true crime, and typically tied in with it is murder and rape and those kinds of things. So obviously if you're sensitive to those subjects, I do not recommend a true crime novel in general, but I definitely don't recommend this novel. This nonfiction book, let's preface that. This is nonfiction, it's not fiction. So, this stuff all did really happen. But overall, if you like that topic, if you're interested in that, especially if you're interested in the psychology aspect of it, why they do this, what makes the mind of a serial killer tick, what makes a serial killer, super interesting stuff. So I'm excited to get more into this. Like I said, I'm about 40% of the way in, so there's about 7 hours of the audiobook left, and I've got about 4 hours of driving left. So I think if I listen at 1.75 2 times speed, that's probably gonna be my whole drive right there. So I'm excited for that. So I'm gonna head out, pick up the doggo, go meet the significant other down at the house, get some things done, and the whole time I'm gonna be listening to the audiobook. So I will update you guys later when I get back to the house. So yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, so it is almost 11 o'clock, basically. I just got back from dropping the boxes off at the house and picking up my husband and picking up the doggo from the vet. It has been a very, very long day, but it has been productive. I have gotten through a large chunk of The Killer at the Table today. I think I have maybe 2.5 hours left in the audiobook. I'm about 75% of the way done. I don't think I'm going to finish this tonight, quite frankly. I'm very, very tired, and it's definitely going to be one of those head hit the pillow, I'm immediately asleep kind of nights. So yeah, I'm definitely going to finish this tomorrow morning though. I am very, very much enjoying it. Like I said in the other updates, it's a lot of things that are not mentioned in, you know, your normal true crime podcasts and things like that. So I really do like that. I think it adds an extra element for me where I'm not hearing the same true crime stories over and over again. So I am really, really enjoying that fact. And then I think overall, I think one thing I'm enjoying the most about this is probably the fact that I'm listening to an audiobook with a narration, because I like Jonathan Groff's voice as an audiobook narrator. I don't know if I would enjoy it quite as much if I was reading it. I still would enjoy it reading it just solely physically, but I think adding in the audiobook, I can hear his voice, so then when I move to the physical copy to read some pages, I can hear it as well. Oh my god, the glare from my computer screens is terrible on my glasses, and you know, we're just gonna roll with it. I don't feel like fixing it. It's fine. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think probably right now solid 4-star. I don't think it's gonna get to be a 5-star, mainly just because 5-star for me are things that are like super, super phenomenal. This is very, very good. I would definitely read it again. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the topic, the narration, the writing, everything. But I think it's just going to be a solid 4-star for me. But I'll let you know after I actually finish it what my final rating on that is. Once I'm done this, my plan is to start The Devil Wears Prada. Like I said, I want to get through that with this reading rush. I absolutely think that if I don't get through it this reading rush, that I'm not going to read it. So, you know, I don't really want to do that. I actually do want to read it. I don't know why my brain won't let me read it otherwise. So I'm just going to try to get through it this week, and we'll see what happens. That's another long one as well. All my books are about the same length. That one is, I think, another 11-hour audiobook. So we'll see. And the font on the actual physical copy itself is actually, like, tiny, to be honest. So, you know, that's a lot jam-packed into 360 pages. But, you know, cool. We'll give it a try. So yeah, that's been Reading Rush Day 4. Definitely starting to feel it. Like, I think at the beginning of this, I was very, like, let's go, let's do this. And I don't think I'm entering a reading slump. I'm still enjoying everything that I'm reading. I'm still excited to read more and do more. But I definitely am starting to feel some of the tiredness of trying to get through as much reading as I am with everything going on with the move. And I think it's also partly because tomorrow's the day that we start to really pack up the apartment. So my brain is in, like, full freak out mode trying to make that happen. So starting to feel it. You know, I'm hoping tomorrow I can just pop an audiobook on and just be left to myself. Just box up what's left, start packing up the truck, and kind of go from there. And then use the drive on Saturday down to the house to kind of just relax and enjoy myself. So we'll see how it goes. I know it's gonna be a stressful weekend, but I'll get through it, and I'm hoping books will help make it better. So I will update you guys in the morning and let you know what's going on with The Killer Across the Table, and let you know when I start on The Devil Wears Prada. For now, have a good night.